Paper Towns, published in 2008 and winner of the 2009 Edgar Awards, is one of the novels by John Green, an American writer born in Indianapolis on the 24th of August 1977. In 2006, the author won the Prize Award for his first novel, Looking for Alaska, and in 2012 reached the first place in the New York Times bestseller list with Fault in Our Stars. Green attended the Indian Springs School in Alabama and graduated at Kenyon College in 2000. He worked for 5 months as a chaplain in a children's hospital, an experience that led him to write Fault in Our Stars. Green lived for several years in Chicago, where he worked as an editorial assistant for the Booklist newspaper. In 2007, Green co-founded a charity project with his brother Hank called Project for Awesome, where YouTube users can create videos to promote charity and non-profit organizations. Green currently lives in Indianapolis with his wife Sarah and their children Henry and Alice. Quentin Jacobson, a shy nerd boy, has been secretly in love with his neighbor Margot Roth Spiegelman, the most popular girl in high school since childhood. Over time, their friendship has faded to the point where they no longer have a relationship. Until one night, Margot shows up at Quentin's window and drags him into a night of adventures and hilarious revenge against some of their high school friends. Quentin, convinced that the night something has changed between them, doesn't know that Margot will mysteriously disappear the next morning, leaving some clues that Quentin, helped by his best friends, will be able to decipher. Although Jake Schreier's 2005 film adaptation faithfully follows the plot of the book, there are some differences. The investigations carried out by Quentin and his friends have been shortened to make room for certain themes, such as friendship and adolescence, which, although important, have somewhat weighed down what was the point of the book, turning it into a teen story. Some scenes have been completely omitted. One is when Margot and Quentin, before entering Chuck's house for one of their revenge, break into the wrong house and sneak up on a stranger in bed. Furthermore, in the book, Quentin discovers that Margot is in Igloo on the day of the graduation ceremony, while in the movie the guys discover it inside an abandoned building thanks to one of the clues left by Margot. In Green's work, the teenagers start a long road trip in search of Margot on the morning of the graduation, whereas in the movie they graduate on their return from the trip. Another different scene is when Quentin finally sees Margot again. The author sets the scene in a barn, whereas in the movie Quentin sees her passing outside the station and chases her. As far as the ending of the story is concerned, analyzed in broad terms, it seems like the book and the movie show the same thing, that is, Quentin finds Margot who decides not to go back home. If we analyze it more deeply, we notice that the dialogue is deeper in the book. Margot explains her dissatisfaction with her life, the hypocrisy of people, and her desire to find her place in the world. On the contrary, in the movie we find a Margot who does not understand why Quentin has gone to look for her, and the dialogue is reduced to the bone. Paper Towns is a Bildungsroman roman full of life, amusing jokes, adventures, and fun experiences that deals with important and current themes in a light-hearted way. In his work, John Green does not want to talk only about adolescence, friendship, and the importance of having people to share your adventures with, but he also wants to deal with very deep themes such as existence, the difficult path you take to leave adolescence and enter adulthood, and the tendency to idealize people. This last theme in particular can be seen in a conversation between Quentin and his mother, who points out the tendency to idealize people as gods. Following this confrontation, Quentin admits to himself that he has always seen Margot as something enchanting and precious, and not as someone who needed to be listened to, who might have fears, and who felt the need to escape from a city to which others were perhaps taking refuge. Moreover, in the scene in which Quentin and Margot are at the SunTrust, a building that offers a view of the whole city, John Green, through Margot's words, who defines Orlando as a paper town with paper people, wants to make a sort of criticism of superficial people who tend to worry about trivial things, who are attached to material goods, and who give little value to the things that really count. More generally, the author criticizes the modern society characterized by false relations, trivial concerns, and lack of ideals. Regarding the theme of existence in a dialogue between Margot and Quentin, the author denounces the inclination of human beings to plan and live every moment of their lives thinking about the future. One of the reasons for the success of this work, in addition to having been able to deal with light-hearted themes whose importance shouldn't be underestimated, was John Green's ability to put himself in the shoes of an adolescent, allowing the reader to make his own journey between the lines of the book. The author, with his fluent, sarcastic and ironic style, was able to keep me interested from the beginning to the end of the book. I was more involved in the novel than in the movie because the point of view from which the story is told is Quentin's and he shares his thoughts with the reader. I think that in the movie some characters have not been represented in the best way. Margot herself, who in the book emerges as a deep and mysterious person, in the movie is portrayed as a superficial person who runs away leaving behind some clues without having the desire to be found. I really appreciated the fact that this is not a classic love story with a obvious ending, although it may seem so on first impression. The decision to leave the ending open was smart and accurate. Thus, the author gave the reader a chance to imagine what will happen in the future between Quentin and Margot, whether they will ever meet again or lose sight of each other forever. I chose this book because of the importance of the message the author wants to send out, which is to live enjoying the present to the fullest, appreciating every day what we have without going in search of the unattainable, and going beyond those paper towns, represented by the hypocrisy and the superficiality of people around us, escaping and embarking on a journey to discover what in life is real in order to distinguish it from what is of paper.